50 years later, we still got a lot of those same problems.
Racism is alive and well in the United States.
I think Detroit is fortunate that it went through this very tough situation and came out with greater sensitivity.
We're really at a crossroads.
You can't just sweep up the debris and board up the buildings and say these were an unruly people and they should be arrested and let's move on. I think there was a recognition that there's a real set of problems here, urban problems that have got to be dealt with. And 50 years later, we still got a lot of those same problems, right? I mean, a lot of people have devoted their lives to dealing with them, and improvements have been made. But we're not quite at the goal line just yet, I don't think.
No one can deny that we have made tremendous progress. No one can deny that serious efforts like New Detroit, the National Urban League, NAACP, organizations that have a social equity responsibility in their charters, continue to work hard, continue to work diligently to address problems that currently exist. But, you know, nobody can deny as well, Rob, that many problems that were present then still exist now.
We've had a terrible level of incidents in Missouri and Baltimore and New York, just all over the country. There are things happening that just sort of is like internal combustion. And you never can feel too confident or too certain that you have open wavelengths of ideas and resolution of problems. And I think Detroit is fortunate that it went through this very tough situation and came out with greater sensitivity. But 50 years later, I don't believe that the community is attuned to the fact that this kind of thing can happen again. And we should really pledge ourselves and commit ourselves to be more participative in everything that we're involved in.
A lot of things have changed, but what has not changed, which has hurt the city immensely, is that if you drive down the streets of the same areas where those fires took place, there are the vacant lots that are there where businesses used to be, where families shopped, where people worked. That is something that has been a lasting and vivid memory for those of us who were here. And it's a lesson for, I think, other cities and municipalities that if there is discrimination and if there is, I mean, racism is alive and well in the United States. If there's a way to talk through it and work through it.
I think the greatest challenge for the next generation is to probably learn from the history that we have left them.
I think for the museum, we're really at a crossroads where by taking and telling this story well and also integrating it into a plan of how it is going to be not just observing history, but using history to shape a better future. I think that's going to be a national model because we're not alone with some of the problems we face.
Building bridges is one of those things that I like to do a lot. And it's through conversation, I think, that you begin to do that. But it's got to be, it's a conversation. And people have to be courageous enough to have open conversations, you know, not just within communities, but across communities.
My daughter is an aspiring writer, and so I counsel her often. I say, a writer only has one responsibility, and that is to tell the truth. So if associated with this examination of what happened in 1967. There is an examination of where we are versus where we were, and some acknowledgement of how we got to 1967 and what we still have to do in 2017 to correct some of the same difficulties, wrongs, and inequities that existed in 1967, and we come forward with a renewed commitment to continue to experiment and move forward with a higher degree of integrity than we have had before, particularly in the political class of which I am a senior member, then this will be worth the effort.